So, folks, Donald Trump, he won the election. We're in the bad timeline. Here's who he's appointed so far, or who he, wants to appoint anyway. We're going to take a look at who he's putting in his cabinet and who he's nominating for various positions at this point in time. Okay? Let's take a look. And so far we have little Marco Rubio. And I do think that this is funny. I think Marco Rubio is a pretty incompetent pick. And I know that this is going to be like a really recurring idea, the incompetence, and to a degree I agree with folks that are arguing that this is going to be like weaponized incompetence, that this is going to be like essentially an effort to destroy democracy through incompetence. But well, can we maybe throw this up? Here, let's do this. Okay?
Let me ask you about the Supreme Court and a huge ruling that they issued on Monday, that Donald Trump has broad immunity for official acts related to January 6th, the attack.
Can I just say, like, he doesn't look okay. Like, he looks bad. He looks like he's about to throw up.
On the U.S. Capitol. When you voted to acquit Trump in his impeachment trial for January 6th, you said, quote, "Let history and, if necessary, the courts judge the events of the past." Well, this ruling by the highest court in the land precludes lower courts from doing what you suggested, at least with some actions, like conversations with the Justice Department. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, first of all, I'm uncomfortable with the fact now that we have a president who targets political opponents. That's what's happened under Joe Biden. Everybody, when Donald Trump was president, I can't think of a single prominent Democrat who was chased around, persecuted, prosecuted. It's funny to me to read these people and hear these people out there warning about all the horrible things they ridiculously claim Donald Trump is going to do if he becomes president again. They're the ones that have been going after their political opponents. Donald Trump has been the one that's been very clear that his vengeance is going to be by winning and making America great again, not going after his political opponents. He said that in your debate.
That's a very, usually if somebody says that if they win, they're going to make things better for everyone, they don't describe that as vengeance. Also, Marco Rubio is really bad at talking to people in front of a camera. He's really bad at it, guys. He's really bad at it.
Debate that you hosted,
Senator,
and they're the ones that have gone after political opponents.
There's no evidence that Joe Biden has gone after political opponents. His Justice Department
the evidence is in the headlines every day.
Well, the
every
Justice
day you open
Department
up
is
some
also
other Republicans
going after
going to jail somewhere.
Democrat. Your colleague Bob Menendez is in trial right now. So there's no evidence that Joe Biden is specifically going after. And my question for you, as a Republican,
well, they only go
who
after
could potentially
Democrats that don't do everything the Democrats want them to do
on the ticket, is whether you are comfortable with the way that the Supreme Court ruled, and frankly, not just about January 6th and about the potential for what Donald Trump could do with that power, but any president in the future, Democrat or Republican. It's a big precedent that the Supreme Court set.
Well, I think what the Supreme Court did is it clarified what the law is, and that is you cannot go after presidents for official acts, and there's a presumption of immunity for quasi-official acts or semi-official acts, or exactly the terminology they used on it. Not, they were pretty clear about that. And I think it's unfortunate that we have to have that conversation in America today, but understand why this has become topical, why we now have to discuss this issue. Because it is clear that we have reached an era where there are people in American politics who believe that our courts are now a weapon that can be used against their political opponents. You look at what their efforts and what they've done in the courts to persecute and prosecute Donald Trump. They've tried to bankrupt him.
Man, what a principled stand against going after your political opponents. I wonder if that's going to hold in the new Trump administration.
They've tried to silence him. They've tried to jail him. They've gone after his allies every single day.
Senator,
and some of these are ridiculous charges.
Senator, Donald Trump has said
yes,
that he would go after Joe Biden, that he would go after
true.
members of the Biden.
Worth pointing out, Lady Kelly, absolutely, that CNN absolutely enables the worst of Republican and Democrat abuses. Absolutely.
Family. That's never something that we've heard.
Donald Trump has said that no, he hasn't. And I watched the debate. You guys did a great job. I watched it, and he was asked, and he said, "My vengeance will be winning and restoring America, making America great again." He did not say, "I'm going to go after
not
them
at the
and
debate,
so forth,
but he
and
has
I'm
said
going
it
to put them in
elsewhere.
jail."
Not at the debate. You're right. He said it elsewhere.
He has repeatedly said that his revenge will be to make America great again, to undo all their.
Yeah, notice how Marco Rubio is not doing a very good job convincing anybody of his points here. Anyway, here we go. Let's head back. Marco Rubio's announced for Secretary of State. He's going to be the guy doing the most talking, which seems like a bad idea, to say the least. Next, we have Matthew Gaetz. Now, Matt Gaetz. Oh, Matt Gaetz. What to say about Matt Gaetz? Matt Gaetz has the forehead of Charlie Kirk and the creepy smile of a guy who walks in the room at a party and immediately every woman there covers the top of their beverage. Okay? He is gross and slimy, and that perception is further backed up by the fact that he has had an ongoing investigation of himself going on for like the last several years now, based on the fact that one of his best friends for years got caught and was arrested and charged with sex trafficking women and minors. And also that friend pointed out Matt Gaetz and said, in an effort to like reduce his sentence, accused Matt Gaetz of sleeping with a minor. And, well, he has a history of traveling with said minor. He has a number of people who have confirmed that she was around and who have talked about how uncomfortable that relationship was for them to witness. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there. This dropped earlier today because he's actually been investigated by the House Ethics Committee, which has an entire report on him ready to go. And it's kind of sitting in limbo, and frankly, hey, Democrats, it's time to play dirty. It's time to play dirty. If you are a Democrat, you are not allowed to leak this document. Boy, it'd be a shame if you accidentally left it on your desk unattended and then it suddenly disappeared. Oops. I think it's like your democratic duty at this point to leak that document. If I'm not being clear here. And well, some things are leaking already about this report, and this is the thing that leaked today. Exclusive to ABC News, woman told House Ethics panel she witnessed Matt Gaetz having sex with a minor. So I just to clarify here, the man that Donald Trump put to one of the most powerful positions in the United States was immediately confirmed to be a pedophile as soon as he announced it. Like, all you folks in the Republican Party, you protect the children types. You guys are totally fine with this. Your guy chose like an actual child predator. Hmm. Let's read on. An attorney representing two women that were witnesses in the House Ethics Committee investigation from now former Representative Matt Gaetz is calling for the release of the committee's report, telling ABC News that one of his clients testified that she witnessed the Florida congressman having sex with a minor. My client testified to the House Ethics Committee that she witnessed Matt Gaetz having sex with a minor. Florida attorney Joel Leopard, what an amazing name, Joel Leopard, told ABC News. As the Senate considers former Representative Gaetz' nomination for Attorney General, several questions demand answers, Leopard said. What if multiple credible witnesses provided evidence of behavior that would constitute serious criminal violations? Democracy demands transparency. Release the Gaetz ethics report. Yeah. And in response, his Gaetz spokesman said Merrick Garland's DOJ cleared Matt Gaetz and didn't charge him. Are you alleging Garland is part of a cover-up? And, you know, I have to say, that is not an answer that is one that fills me with confidence that Matt Gaetz did not have sex with a minor. Because he's essentially just saying, oh yeah, well this other guy didn't catch me. Are you calling him a liar? And it's like, maybe. I'm not invested in Eric Garland's position. Like, no. Yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he goofed up that one. I'm not invested in his success professionally. The two witnesses, who ABC News is not naming, both allegedly attended parties with the congressman. Gaetz' one-time friend, Joel Greenberg, is currently serving an 11-year prison sentence after reaching a deal with prosecutors in May 2021, in which he pled guilty to multiple federal crimes, including sex trafficking of the woman woman when she was a minor and introducing her to other adult men who also had sex with her when she was underage. According to Greenberg's plea deal, the woman, who ABC News is not identifying, met Greenberg online in 2017, began meeting him in hotels and houses in the Middle District of Florida, where he introduced the minor to other adult men who engaged in commercial sex acts with the minor in the Middle District of Florida, according to court documents. At the time, the minor represented that she was an adult on the website where she met Greenberg, and according to his plea agreement, he acknowledges that he acted in reckless disregard of the fact that the minor was less than 18 years old when he engaged in commercial sex acts, and had a reasonable opportunity to observe that she was underage. I'm pretty sure, having covered this story in the past, that also Greenberg portrayed her as underage, specifically in the dealings with, people who were paying to have sex with her. So, yeah. 17 isn't exactly a child. No, none of that. Fuck off. Fuck off. Like, fuck all the way off. Like, she's being pimped out. She's being sex trafficked. And she's a child. 17 isn't exactly a child. That is fucked up, man. I'm sorry, if a 30-year-old man is seeking out an underage girl, nah, fuck that. It's still weird even if, like, a 30-year-old man has sex with an 18-year-old. That's still weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's pretty damning when basically Matt Gaetz his entire counter argument is no, nope, we were just really good friends. I was just I was just flying around this underage girl to a bunch of different places and inviting her uh, inviting her to go on cruises with me. No, that's fucked up. I was a child, and in third grade, when I was abused at 17, I had more awareness. Yeah, you have more awareness at 17. But guess what? You also have more awareness when you're an actual adult. Like, when you call it all the same, it takes away the power of meaning. No. What the fuck is wrong with you? Having sex with a minor is having sex with a minor. Obviously, if you have sex with a minor that's like 10, that is a particularly heinous thing, but it's still very heinous to have sex with a minor who's 17. Like, do we really need to do the equivalent of, like, well, actually, he's not a pedophile. He's an ephebophile. Do we actually need to do that? Do we really? "17 is legal age of consent in Europe." Well, guess what? 17 is not legal age of consent in Florida. Also, Cosmic Quibble, are you literally trying to argue right now that it is good for a 17-year-old to be trafficked sexually by an adult man selling her to strangers? I want you to be so for real with me right now and choose your words very carefully in my chat. Because right now, it really comes across like you're saying, well, it's not that bad if a 17-year-old is trafficked by an adult man. Which, is really close to saying, some places age of consent is 16. It's not that bad if a 16-year-old is trafficked by an adult man. In some places, the age of consent for marriage is 12. And in some places, there's no minimum age of consent for marriage. Is it fine? Is that okay? At what age is it okay for someone to sexually traffic a child? What age is it okay? Really curious. Is it 17? Is that the age where it's okay? 16? 15? Bold stance, Gibbertus. I don't think sex trafficking is ever good. Same. It's not good. Ever. But I think it's especially heinous to do the people who are under the age of consent. I think it's especially heinous to do to a child, to a fucking teenager. God. And, like, I understand people who've been victimized at very young ages having strong feelings about, like, well, the sexual abuse of a 17-year-old is, different from the sexual abuse of a 10-year-old. And, like, yeah, obviously, no one's saying those two things are the same. What they are saying is that both are heinous crimes. And trying to downplay the heinousness of the crime done to a 17-year-old, I think is pretty fucked up. Because no one's trying to do that in the case of the 10-year-old being abused. Literally no one's like, yes, these are exactly the same. That is a perception that you are coming to. That is your perception here, not ours. Yeah, I'd be quiet in chat too if I just dropped a bunch of stuff like that. Note for further chatterinos, please don't do the "but what if she's 17 years, 11 months, 29 days" argument like ever. True. Never. Don't do it. Stop. I didn't know shit about shit at 17. I was a babby. Yeah. I had people take advantage of me sexually on the internet when I was 17. I did not know shit about shit. And I wish that hadn't happened to me. But, like, I was in a live stream earlier today and someone took exception that I said 17-year-olds are babies. Well, again, I think people who take exception at that are probably also 17 or around about that age. You know? Also, I do think that there's a big difference between being an adult and engaging in voluntary sex work and being a child, being any kind of adult and being sex trafficked. And then a huge difference also with sex trafficking children. The real trafficking happening today is so much worse, and calling a drive across the state line the same thing takes away some meaning. She was literally fucking bought and sold by a guy who got 11 years in prison for sex trafficking. What is wrong with you? No. Cosmic Quibble, before you get banned, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you where you look at a teenager being bought and sold for sex and you're like, well, it's not real trafficking. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go to therapy. Go get some fucking therapy, okay? You can get some that's real cheap. Go and talk that out in therapy because something is deeply fucked in you and you need to unfuck it before it kills you, okay? Oh, it's just being driven across state lines. She was being pimped out by an adult man, you piece of shit. God. I haven't read that. The facts haven't come out yet. Only rumors. The guy who did it is in prison. The guy who did it is in prison. This has been public info for the last several years. And if you're now falling back on, well, I haven't read it, the facts haven't come out yet, it's only rumors, he's in prison for doing it. He's in prison for trafficking children. What's wrong with you? The only thing, he got 11 years. He got more than a decade. Oh, only rumors. He got more than a decade in prison, you piece of shit. Well, I'm on the fence about this one. What could be the truth? He got a fucking trial by his peers 3 years ago. The thing that hasn't been proven is that Matt Gaetz may have slept with her, but he took her on fucking vacations. I was talking about Matt Gaetz, who was provided this girl by the guy who got 11 years in prison. That's where the entire allegation comes from. I'm astounded at your lack of ability to follow this conversation. The guy who did the sex trafficking, who sold her to men like Matt Gaetz, his best friend at the time, is now in prison and is the one pointing fingers at Matt Gaetz. And I need you to be so for real right now. He's currently serving 11 years on a plea deal. That means he was actually on the hook for so much more prison time. And he took a plea deal because the evidence he had against Matt Gaetz was good enough that they lowered his sentence to 11 years. And also, I gotta be honest, even if you haven't followed this story and are just kind of shooting from the hip here, your entire statement about, like, well, it's not real sex trafficking to just drive a child across state lines. Well, it's not real sex trafficking of a child if they're 17. Well, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. Fix your heart before you start breaking other people in the same way you got broken, my friend. Okay? Honest to God. Hurt people hurt people. Look at your own fucking heart before you start a cycle with someone else. Fuck off. That's disappointing. That was somebody who's been in my chat numerous times in the past. Numerous times in the past. That wasn't a one-off. That was somebody who's been here multiple times. Usually I'm a YouTube video viewer, but been having trouble sleeping. Saw Jack was live. Think I picked a bad time to check out how the stream was going. Green Phantom, we were having good vibes until somebody came in here and was trying to argue that a 17-year-old isn't the child. And it's not that big of a deal if someone sex traffics a 17-year-old. Like, I'm sorry. That is, you know, there are very few buttons that will take me from 0 to 60 that fast. That is one of them. Well, welcome, Rasby, and welcome, Green Phantom. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the rest of the stream. What a time to arrive. No kidding. Well-deserved ban. Yeah. I expect better of you people, okay? Even if I do not care how long you've been part of this community, if you start being like, well, you know, 17, that's not really a minor. Nope. Out. Out. Get the fuck out. None of that. None of that shit. Good golly. Anyway, Matt Gaetz is a fucking weird looking dude. And I think that on the basis of how weird he looks alone, he shouldn't be allowed into power. But given the fact that there are multiple witnesses coming forward saying that they saw him actually having sex with a minor, you know, maybe that's a good reason he shouldn't be, you know, attorney general. Just, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing that idea out there. Okay? Actually adult Beavis. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, yeah. Also, can I just say, when you have Senator John Cornyn going out in front of cameras and saying this.
We talked about recess
on the issue of vetting, though, how critical is it then to have access to what the House Ethics Committee has found in their investigation?
I think there should not be any limitation on the Senate Judiciary Committee's investigation, including whatever the House Ethics Committee has generated.
So you want to see it?
Absolutely.
Tulsi.
Guys, this makes me think Matt Gaetz is cooked. There were direct witnesses. That's why Matt Gaetz quit like 2 days before this report could be released. He literally quit, and by quitting, stops the report from coming out under normal circumstances. However, there is so much pushback against like mothballing this report that it's very likely it's going to come out. Okay? But like, can I just say, like, John Cornyn is deeply conservative, guys. He's like the Republican senator who would have access to the report on the Dem side. You know, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, Mr. Miyagi, and I actually have a wonderful answer for you.
I heard Davi Vanity got a personal invite to wherever Epstein's cafe is being held this week.
I don't know who that is or what Epstein's cafe is. I feel like that's probably a good thing and reflects well on my character. But guys, here are the Democrats on House Ethics. Susan Wild of Pennsylvania, Mark DeSaulnier of California, Veronica Escobar, Texas, Glenn Ivey, is that Maryland? I'm so bad with the state abbreviations, and Deborah Ross, North Carolina. And I'm just gonna copy paste these numbers here. I'm just gonna copy and paste these. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste this info into chat. You know, we'll do that in 2 parts here. 2 parts. There we go. There we go. These are their office numbers. They are meant for people to actually call them, so don't. This is not actually you know, in bad form for us to do. But yeah, please consider giving all of these people a call to express your deep and abiding desire to have this ethics report released. It's one of the few things you could do that might actually affect the outcome. And even if they are not your elected representatives, consider calling them anyway to request that the ethics report on Matt Gaetz is released. Hello, Alexa Crab. You are indeed. Yes, if you're in another country, it's probably not going to do that much good. But if you're in the US, consider giving these fine folks a call to urge them to, you know, release this report. I still can't believe the Liz Cheney play didn't work, right? It doubly helps if you're a constituent of them and mention specifically you're a constituent and want to see it. Exactly, GamerG. If you do happen to be a constituent, definitely mention it. Yeah, absolutely. Keep it respectful. Keep your language, couth. Don't be dropping like F-bombs and stuff. But tomorrow, give them a call. Be calm. Be respectful. But be insistent. That's all I'm going to say, all right? Calm, respectful, and insistent. Yep. God, I couldn't believe it when I saw John Cornyn saying that he also wanted to see it. That, to me, that kind of seals the deal. I don't think Matt Gaetz is going to be Attorney General. Maybe he will, though. Who knows? Who knows? Faxes and letters work well. True. Get them something physical. Now, we are here on to the third pick, because we're only 3 picks deep at this point. We're Pete Hegseth. And he is a Fox News host and veteran of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so basically, my understanding of Pete Hegseth is that basically his main qualifications are that he is a guy on Fox News that Donald Trump likes, and also might be a neo-Nazi, given some of his weird tattoos. And also, his other qualification is that he, I believe, was in the National Guard in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I cannot stress enough, guys, he has bragged about not washing his hands. And you might think, oh, well, okay, but like every once in a while he doesn't wash his hands. You might think like, No, it's a little worse than you might expect.
As I told you, my 2019 resolution is to say things on air that I say off air. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So you're becoming immune to all of the
exactly,
bacteria.
I can't get sick.
Yeah, so like
With labor market conditions.
he literally does not think that germs are real. He doesn't think that germs are real, and he's not washing the shit off of his hands after he wipes. But not only that, guys, how do you not believe in germs, but you say that immediately after talking about how you're inoculating yourself? Because inoculation works because of germs. You inoculate yourself against germs. That is what vaccinations / inoculations do. You can't say that you're inoculating yourself and then say you don't think germs are real. And I just... He doesn't wash his hands. There's literally an entire branch of warfare called germ warfare. Like, what are you doing? But not only that, guys, this is on a little bit less of a funny note. This came out today, apparently. I was unaware of this. Now, let's be real. the Trump team doesn't really give a single shit about the sexual assault allegations against Pete Hegseth. But apparently he was investigated in 2017 for sexual assault. And Hegseth's lawyer said police found no evidence of wrongdoing, but let's take a look here. Also, why is his face yellow? His neck's not yellow. Why is his face yellow, man? What are you doing? Sparked by a complaint shared with the transition team with extensive information about a woman's claim that Hegseth assaulted her in a hotel in Monterey, California, after a Republican conference, according to a person familiar with the complaint, who spoke on the condition of anonymity out of fear of retaliation. The woman who drafted the complaint said the alleged victim was a friend who later signed a non-disclosure agreement with Hegseth. Which, by the way, in case anyone needs to know, NDAs cannot be enforced to cover illegal behavior. That's not something NDAs can do. So, if Pete Hegseth did commit sexual assault, this NDA would not bind her from actually coming forward and talking about it. Just throwing that out there, and also for all of your reference in case any of you wind up in a weird situation like that, okay? Monterey police confirmed that they investigated Hegseth over an allegation of alleged sexual assault in 2017, and the incident did not result in criminal charges. Now, I just want to stop here because to investigate him over alleged sexual assault would mean that someone came forward and alleged the sexual assault occurred. And if that someone then signed an NDA, they might have refused to continue providing police information, and therefore charges would not be brought. Kind of seeing how this works, I'm guessing an amount of money was also in play. So, just throwing that out there. The transition team was caught by surprise by the detailed allegations and now fears more negative revelations about Hegseth, said the person familiar with the complaint. There's a lot of frustration around this, the person said. He hadn't been properly vetted. Oh, really? You didn't properly vet the guy who was being put up because he's a Fox News host and has no other qualifications to run the entire Department of Defense? His other his other qualification is that by, I don't know, not washing his hands, he's infected himself with every known strain of bubonic plague and therefore won't be at risk in germ warfare. Is that about it? God damn. And of course, the woman who drafted the complaint did not respond to requests for comment, which is not surprising at all. Asked whether Hegseth sought a non-disclosure agreement with the woman, Parlatore said that there's no other skeletons to come out. He added, there's no reason to withdraw that I'm aware of. Which, you know, if you ask someone, did this woman, did Hegseth get a non-disclosure agreement with her, and your lawyer says, oh no, nothing else is going to come out, that is a yes. This is a yes answer. Which seems to me like it completely confirms that this actually happened, and also considering that this article is talking about how detailed the complaint was, kind of indicates to me that there's a lot of knowledge here going into this complaint that probably is pretty substantial. The president-elect was not told about the extent of the sexual misconduct allegation before he chose Hegseth as the Pentagon nominee because no private firm vetted him. Because of course, there's no vetting. Why would you vet your loyalist appointees? Sounds like a payoff instead of an NDA. I mean, usually the payoff includes an NDA just so that it has the aesthetic of like legal binding. But yeah. Yeah, also, again, Trump Communications Director Stephen Chung said in a statement that Trump is standing by Hegseth. President Trump is nominating high-caliber and extremely qualified candidates to serve in his administration. Yeah, again, can I just say, like, I despise mainstream reporting on politics. I despise it. Because look at this headline. Trump team weighs Pentagon pick after sexual assault allegation surfaces. And it's like, they're not weighing it. They're not weighing it, though. Like, specifically, they're not. Like, Donald Trump is still standing by this guy. Like, all of this information came out, and Donald Trump is like, no, he's still my guy. That's my boy right there. That's my boy. Like, but for whatever reason, the Washington Post feels compelled to, well, you know, who knows? They could find that sexual assault is bad. Really? Republicans will just now decide that sexual assault is bad. The guy who is literally on record saying grab him by the pussy when talking about women. Yeah, I don't think he cares about sexual assault. The guy who has like several sexual assault allegations against him, the guy who was shown to be liable for sexual assault in civil court. Like I don't think that guy is going to care if other people in his circle are rapists. Yeah, you know, I don't think he cares that much about that. It's almost a prerequisite at this point. Yeah, you know, it kinda. Yeah. All right. Next we have, of course, Kristi Noem. And no, unfortunately, this is not Kristi Noem, the adorable lawn gnome that somehow plays every single lawn gnome across America. I don't know how Kristi the gnome does it, but no, this is the evil Kristi Noem, the one that shoots dogs. Yes, the dog murdering Kristi Noem, the one who decided that a puppy was irritating her, and so she took it out and tried to kill it, and also tried to kill like a couple goats, and failed to do that, and had to like run one of them down. She just like took them out to do that for no reason. Yeah. Yeah, where's Cricket? Her children asked as she came back home because they didn't know that she was going out to murder their puppy. Anyway, yeah, she's going to be Homeland Security Secretary. So, you know, someone who looks like they murder animals for fun and actually does seem to murder animals for fun, being in charge of Homeland Security doesn't seem to bode well to me. It really is just a cabinet of people who sucked off Trump the most. It really is. And honestly, I think best case scenario here is that they all try and deliver for themselves and, like, you know, get rich at the government's expense. And hopefully that's about the worst damage that they do. Obviously, that's the best case scenario, and we're not going to get that. They're going to make a lot of other people suffer. Wait, Homeland Security, are they going to do to leftists what she did to the puppy? I mean, they probably want to do that. I don't think they have the competence to do that. And I don't think that... Well, let me put it this way. I don't think blue states that are home to leftists would just, like, be like, oh, yes, come in and systematically murder the leftists that are here. That I do not think would go over very well. So then we have John Ratcliffe, which I'm not gonna lie, he's been announced as a CIA director, okay? And John Ratcliffe looks like John Hamm's evil brother. However, I can't believe I'm saying this, he might be one of the more sane picks for head of the CIA. And this is not me saying that he's a good man or that he's not going to do evil things. But he was director of the national intelligence under Trump last time. So him being in charge of the CIA, I think will be largely like he'll kind of keep things running, I guess, rather than, you know, start doing assassinations, you know, having CIA agents doing mass assassinations across the US, you know. Isn't doing evil things part and parcel for the CIA. Yeah, like, on average, I think, like, they're just going to continue to be a constant, which is still a negative, but maybe not quite weaponized to the degree that we may have feared, okay? And now we have Tulsi Gabbard, and can I just say, like, personally, from the bottom of my heart, fuck Jimmy Dore and every single member of the Dumb Dumb left. You know, the Brianna Joy Grays of the world, the folks that go within, like, the circles of Jimmy Dore, and, like, for years trying to sell Tulsi Gabbard as this anti-war, you know, leftist who's actually sane, and she's just slowly slipped into being outright conservative. So conservative that she's being picked as one of Trump's cabinet members, you know? And yeah, they still keep saying that she's a leftist. It's insane. They keep insisting it. Like, Tulsi Gabbard is, like, was raised by a nationalistic cult. She's not a good person. And she's actively hankering for war with other countries. And honestly, a lot of people say that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. I haven't really looked into that very much, mostly because I can only think about her without getting viscerally angry for so long. But there's a concern here that she could essentially be a massive security risk for the United States, which, frankly, I agree with on several fronts, with her in particular. But I also, while I do think she's crazy, and I do think that she's going to compromise U.S. security, and, like, global stability even, perhaps, at the very least, I don't think she would weaponize the National Intelligence Service against the American people. That's, like, the one good thing I can maybe say. Like, I think she would sell secrets. I don't know how keen she is to, like, immiserate the American people, you know? I do still like the universal basic income policy, though. I mean, that's fine. But, like, it really depends on how it's implemented. Is there a good video or article about her upbringing? I hadn't heard about it till recently. Wanted to learn more. Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, here we go. Let me see. I think this piece from The Intercept kind of covers it well. It's from 2019. It's from a while ago. Yeah, here, just real quick. We'll go over this because it's relevant. But this is a piece from The Intercept from about 5 years ago. Tulsi Gabbard is a rising progressive star. Jesus Christ. Despite her support for Hindu nationalists. As her national profile grows, Tulsi Gabbard has publicly cut ties with her right-wing Hindu supporters at least once, but still courts them in private. Long before the Indian strongman Narendra Modi became Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy, he was a prominent leader of the Hindu right. He rose as a public figure through the nationalist organization Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or RSS, whose ideology includes a desire to carve out a Hindu nation in which Muslims and Christians are considered second-class citizens. It was a well-known activist who once had links to the RSS who assassinated Mahatma Gandhi, accusing him of appeasing Muslims during the bloody partition of the Indian subcontinent. That anti-Muslim sentiment has been a major driving force of Modi's political career. Let's see. Modi. Here we go. In the United States, Modi's reputation has been helped by a group of Hindu American supporters with links to the RSS and other Hindu nationalist organizations who've been working in tandem with a peculiar congressional ally, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, the first Hindu in Congress. Gabbard, a member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs and Armed Services and co-chair of the India Caucus, is an oddity in American politics. Ever since her 2016 resignation from the Democratic National Committee to endorse Bernie Sanders for president, she's been a rising star, etc., etc. She's also become a polarizing figure. Her progressive domestic policies are at odds with her support for authoritarians abroad, including Modi, Sisi, Syria's Bashar al-Assad. As right-wing nationalism rises across the globe, it is beginning to be recognized as an existential threat to a world order rooted in liberal democratic values. It's just beginning, huh? Wow, we really should have gotten on the ball. And Gabbard, an Iraq War veteran, is now being pushed to choose sides. And of course, Gabbard didn't respond to requests for comment. Let's see. Gabbard was embraced early by pro-Modi elements of the Hindu American diaspora in the U.S., who have donated generously to her campaigns. Let's see here. Yeah, anyway, I'll link the rest of this article. It's good stuff. Go check it out. I think it's pretty informative of her politics, especially if you are more aware of where she wound up now. There you go. The Intercept does good work as far as like outlets that I would generally trust with coverage. All right, we have Lee Zeldin, and guys, we don't have good news when it comes to Lee Zeldin. Okay, Lee Zeldin is bad, to say the least. Let me pull this up. Okay. Here we go. So Lee Zeldin here is basically a multi-failure of a political candidate. Okay. And also, oh man, I really wanted to pull this out. What was his big... I know that he had a big stance on the environment here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one of his big things here is to expand fisheries around New York. And that seems to be like his big thing. He also just doesn't want any kind of regulation on fossil fuels. So, like, he's bad for the planet at large. But it seems like his kind of pet issue is expanding where fisheries can do fishing around New York on the East Coast. And like sounds like he got lobbied by whomever wants to fish near New York. Well, yeah, I mean there's probably some like environmental reason, like, hey, if we overfish this population of fish in this area, it's going to cause a population collapse and destroy, the ecosystem. But like, again, he doesn't care about stuff like that. He's very much pro drill baby drill, and also fish until there's none left, because there will always be fish in the sea. And it's interesting, to say the least. But yeah, he basically wants to rip up the Paris Climate Accords and just, whatever. It's gonna get hot. You guys will live. That's kind of his ideology in a nutshell. He's not terribly compelling even as a villain, but he is definitely a villain. Also, can I just pull up a picture of him real quick? Just Can I say something really mean? This man looks like he was grown in a vat. Derogatory. Like, he looks like he's one of like 600 mass-produced humans all floating in a vat. Why is he so smooth? It's the frictionless environment he was raised in, He is simply GOP politician number 612. Okay, I'm seeing it now. He looks like he came out of whatever facility created Mark Zuckerberg. Oh my god, a bunch of you sent that. He looks like the aging prototype of Mark Zuckerberg. Oh god, yeah. This is the default character creator in the original Dark Souls. Derogatory. Oh god. God. He's what happens when I tell AI to create an average middle-aged
I'm glad to
white
see
man.
morale is improving in spite of the horrors. Thanks to everyone for the community resources. They bring me hope.
No problem, Fallen Hearts. Thank you for the $5 tip. I really appreciate it. Anyway. Oh yeah, also, he wants to poison your water. During Mr. Zeldin's tenure in the House of Representatives, he voted against clean water legislation at least a dozen times and clean air legislation at least half a dozen times. Because Republicans want to poison your air and water. Cool stuff. Thanks, Republicans. We don't need air. Nine-Tailed Witch, we covered it yesterday. Then we have Elise Stefanik, who is just, as far as I can tell, her one and only thing is being as Zionist as possible, is getting as much support to the state of Israel to kill as many Palestinians as humanly possible. That seems to be like her main issue, and honestly, she's going to be the UN ambassador, and I think that's terrible. Cool stuff. Thanks, Trump administration. There's nothing really funny to say about that. She's just going to be like a midwife to genocide. And now we have another rapist, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And if you're wondering why, Jack, why are you saying that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a rapist? He literally, like a month or two ago, wrote an apology for raping his his kid's nanny like 10 years ago. Like he admitted to it and said essentially boys will be boys. And again, he did it 10 years. He did the sexual assault 10 years ago, so like he was like a 50-year-old man. So, but again, no one in the Trump administration cares about sex crimes. And frankly, Republican voters don't really seem to care about sex crimes. Or at least they don't believe that they actually happened if a Republican does them. Anyway, yeah, I still remember the skeletons in his closet comment he made over that. Yeah, he's definitely done a lot of sex crimes. But he's being tapped for Health and Human Services Secretary, and I think we all need to be reminded here that, well, here's a back and forth.
You have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
You've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective. What I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study.
Okay.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about science, but I don't think that he's telling the truth here. None of these vaccines have been tested for their safety or efficacy is like an insane take to have. Especially considering that they've been used for decades at this point. Is his throat okay? He has like some kind of speaking disorder. I don't know what it is.
So let me ask you if you think it's wise for people to take these vaccines, because you had this to say on a different podcast about whether people with young babies should be getting them shots. Watch.
For many, many years, I think parents were so gaslighted and they were scapegoated and they were vilified and marginalized, so that even parents of kids who were very, very badly injured knew what happened to their kid, but they were just reluctant to talk about it. And I think now those days are over. Our job is to resist and to talk about it to everybody. If you're walking down the street, and I do this now myself, which is, I don't want to I'm not a busybody. I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated. And he heard that from me. If he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will save that child.
Maybe he will save that child. You think preventing vaccines for a child will save that child? Do you still say this to parents today?
What I say again is I had 3 vaccines, Casey, when I was a kid, and I was fully compliant. My kids got 72. The current recommendations are, I think, around 77.
Yeah, because we've invented more vaccines from when you were a kid, because you were a kid 60 years ago, man. In that amount of time, we've been able to invent all kinds of wonderful vaccinations that keep people and children from getting ill, sometimes keep them from dying. That's pretty incredible. And you are actively advocating for people not to take the miracle, medicine that we've basically been able to develop thanks to the blood, sweat, and tears of scientists.
And
I have a vaccine record for my child, and there are not 77
There are
shots on there.
77 doses. There are 72 doses of 16 vaccines.
Oh, so you're actually talking about 16 vaccines. Because some of the vaccines require multiple doses to get full immunity. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Wait, do kids get 77 vaccines? No. But some diseases you need multiple vaccinations for the vaccine to have full effectiveness. Yeah, like the most doses you ever I actually will defer to Paladin on this one. The most doses you ever take of a single vaccine is 3. Yeah. I don't know exactly what kind of weird, freakish woo-woo math RFK Jr. is engaging in here to come up with this 72 number, but like he's basically pulling it out of his ass.
That's just a fact.
That's just a fact, indeed. You are just pulling it out of your ass. But just real quick here. Also worth noting that RFK Jr. has actually tried to implement a program against vaccines before. He actually did it, and well, it didn't have the desired effect, we'll say. Here's a short clip to explain what happened.
And to help put some of Mr. Kennedy's comments into context, we're joined by Dr. Paul Offit, who is a member of an FDA advisory committee on vaccines. He's also director of the Vaccine Education Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So RFK Jr. is widely known as an anti-vaccine activist. He has a much larger platform now as he runs for president. He says that many of his views are misunderstood, they're taken out of context. Help us understand what he's been promoting and what the science tells us about it.
Well, he's been promoting false information about vaccines. He's been promoting the notion that vaccines cause autism, which is clearly not true, or cause a variety of other chronic diseases.
Yep, there is no evidence that vaccines cause autism at all.
Like diabetes or multiple sclerosis or attention deficit disorder, and that's all not true. So what he does is,
yes,
by
this
putting
is American
misinformation
Samoa
out there,
thing.
he causes people to make bad decisions that put themselves and their family at risk.
You also point to one episode where he spoke out against the measles vaccine. What was the impact of that?
In Samoa, there were 2 children that died immediately following receipt of a measles vaccine. And the way it works in Samoa is they have a MMR vaccine in powdered form. It needs to be diluted in water. 2 nurses made a mistake. Instead of diluting it in water, they diluted it in a muscle relaxant. Those children stopped breathing and died immediately. Now, very quickly, within 2 weeks, it was
down with fluoride, ocean wave, nervous sweat, biohazard, vomiting face, biohazard, vomiting face.
I mean, I think fluoride's pretty great. I like not getting cavities. I like not having cavities infecting the roots of my teeth. It's pretty cool, actually. I like not getting tooth decay.
Realize what that mistake was. It was a nursing error. But nonetheless, RFK Jr. seized on that. He flooded Facebook with the information that measles vaccine is killing children in Samoa.
Yeah, of course.
He went to Samoa. He met with anti-vaccine activists. He met with senior officials in Samoa and kept the drumbeat alive that measles vaccine was killing children in Samoa. As a consequence, vaccination rates fell from 70% to 30%. And between September and December of 2019, there was a massive measles epidemic. In this island nation of 200,000 people, there were 57,000 cases of measles and...
Then you don't need to drink fluoride? Hey, I've got something to show you. Just real quick here. Ah, got that. Where is this? There we go. Where's this? Here we go. Boop. Boop. What happens in places that remove fluoride from the drinking water? Let's find out. Da, 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 da. Removing fluoride from public drinking water can have its own serious consequences. The Canadian city of Calgary, Alberta, stopped adding fluoride to its water supply in 2011. 7 years later, researchers found children in Calgary were experiencing more tooth decay than in nearby Edmonton, which did not drop the additive. Another study found a 21% increase in dental treatments that required general anesthesia for children under 12. Which, by the way, general anesthesia carries a risk of death. Just, as an FYI. James A. Dickinson, a University of Calgary professor, wrote in an email that it would be easy to assume the widespread use of toothpaste, mouthwashes, and other fluoridated products has made drinking water fluoridation less important. But the studies point towards the opposite conclusion, he said. Fluoridation helps children regardless of whether their parents take care of their mouth hygiene or not. Cora Constantescu, a pediatric infectious disease specialist, also reported Calgary City Council in 2019 that there had been a 700% increase in children referred to clinic for IV antibiotic treatment for serious dental infections since fluoride was dropped. 2 years later, the City Council voted to add fluoride back into the water system. New equipment is expected to come online in 2025. That's why you add fluoride to the water. Because even if you brush your teeth, it still helps to reduce the level of tooth decay and tooth infection that you contract. That's literally the reason it's added to the water supply. I know you're kidding, Jupiter Quake. No worries. This was directed at WJ Adam. I don't know. I think maybe 700% increases in children being referred to specialists for serious dental infection is probably really bad. I think a 21% increase in cavity generation in children because of a lack of fluoridation in the water is bad. And you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess that there was probably some level of increase among adults as well. Considering, I'm gonna be honest here, not all of you take as good of care of your teeth as you probably should. All right? I know sometimes things get a little overwhelming, and maybe you forget to brush your teeth. You forget to floss. You know what helps? On those days, it helps to fucking drink some tap water that has fluoride in it. You know what's really not fun? Going in and getting root canals. You know what's really not fun? Having to get your teeth extracted. You know what's not fun? Any kind of pain that goes through the nerves that are connected to your teeth. I've experienced that. I would much rather no one ever experiences that. Ever. This is going to come off extra, but I'm now more glad I live in Edmonton. Yeah, you know, Edmonton at least has that fluoridated water, you know? It's just like... Also, just... The fact that there was a 21% increase in dental treatments in children that required general anesthesia. There's like a small but persistent chance that if you go under general anesthesia, like you don't wake up. Like it's dangerous. Like it comes with its own risks. That's why they walk you through it anytime you go under general anesthesia. And yeah. Maybe that's why I've never had any cavities before. I'm still young, so I have time, but interesting. Well, yeah, also if you brush your teeth and floss occasionally and drink water, like you'll be good. You know? For the most part, it can take a while. I mean, you'd never know if you're dead anyway. True. You're supposed to floss every day. I know you're supposed to floss every day. How many of you actually do it? How many of you actually do it? That's right. You better floss more. Swear to me.
83 deaths. Most of those deaths were in children less than 4 years of age.
Yeah, he literally killed almost 100 children. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., with his anti-vax bullshit, got almost 100 kids killed for no reason, most of whom were under the age of 4 years old.
And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had everything to do with that. And that shows you how disinformation can kill.
Yep. Yep. And also, can we just take a moment here? Jared Polis in Colorado, the governor, I believe. Yeah. 2 days ago, I guess a day ago, tweeted out, "I'm excited by the news that President-elect will appoint Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the Health and Human Services Secretary. He helped us defeat vaccine mandates in Colorado in 2019 and will help make America healthy again by shaking up HHS and FDA. I hope he leans into personal choice on vaccines and..." Update. Per Kyle Clark, the best newsman in the biz. The office of Governor Jared Polis is walking back Polis's praise of RFK Jr. for HHS Secretary. Polis post celebrated Kennedy's work defeating vaccine mandates. A spokesperson now says Polis opposes Kennedy's position on vaccines. Cool. Anyone praising Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on vaccines, when he is personally responsible for the deaths of almost 100 children, most of whom under the age of 4, anyone praising him for his work on vaccines should be shunned by society. Like, in the hardcore Amish sense. Like, everyone should turn their backs whenever they enter a room. No one should speak to them. No one should participate in commerce with them until they leave the community for the deep wilderness, never to be seen again. That's the kind of treatment society owes people like Jared Polis for praising his work on vaccines. He literally is going to get your children killed. And you're saying, "Oh man, what a swell guy." You know, at least the Pied Piper actually played like flute music, you know? Like at least the Pied Piper did like music, and you could maybe enjoy like a little, you know, medieval kind of shimmy to it or something. But like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just comes in and like murders your kids. Like that's like his big contribution to society. And people love him for it. It really is in the case of Robert F. Kennedy, I don't get it. I don't get it, except that he, you know, appeals to kind of this divorced dad demographic. And like, if you are still kind of like, well, you know, he likes physical fitness and stuff, and you know, that's good. Just keep in mind one thing. You know, this is the story I keep coming back to. Because not only is he, you know, a child killer, let's call him what he is. He's a child killer and a rapist, self-avowed rapist. He's also just batshit insane. You know, one of the stories his daughter relates in a book that I think like a biography she wrote, autobiography she wrote, is that there was a time when her father put the entire family into a car, drove to the beach in order to reach a whale carcass that had washed up. And when they got to the beach, he hacked the whale's head off and put it on top of the family car, strapping it down. And its juices leaked into the car to such a degree that the kids who were in the back seat were getting splattered with it. And they had to put on plastic bags over their heads with breathing holes cut in them because of the amount of liquid being dripped on them by this guy who wanted to get a severed whale head. He shouldn't be in charge of anything. He's a child killer, clearly insane, and a rapist. I don't know what more needs to be said about this guy, but he keeps failing upward, and it's insane to me. Absolutely and utterly insane. Moving on. We have Doug Burgum for Interior Secretary, and I'm not going to lie. Maybe this is one of the less bad picks. Doug Burgum was the governor of North Carolina, or not North Carolina, North Dakota. He's basically a gigantic fossil fuel shill. That's his main thing. And I think that would basically be his role as Interior Secretary, basically just drill baby drill. Like that's kind of his main thing. And honestly, like if that's all the damage that is being done under Doug Burgum, that's probably a best case scenario, frankly. Which I know is not a great position to be in here, but like we're in the bad timeline, guys, and that's one of the least bad outcomes here. Then we get Doug Collins, who is the Veteran Affairs Secretary, and my understanding is that he's basically a Trump loyalist and also wants to cut the VA. I think not only does he want to cut it, he wants to either cut it or privatize it. I think that's kind of like his main thing. So that would really suck. Yeah, let's see here. Just gonna double check if there was any other weird thing about him. Yeah, no, he's basically he's basically like just a Trump loyalist, and he's gonna fuck with the VA. I don't think he'll actually privatize it, but that seems to be one of the goals he's being put in charge of. We'll see if that actually gets any traction whatsoever. It would surprise me if it did. It would surprise me if it did, largely because I think Donald Trump really wants to be on the military's good side. We'll see. And we do have J.D. Vance. You guys are all familiar with him. I assume anyway that you're all familiar with. He called himself a hillbilly, wrote an elegy of problem and his trouble as he went back and he doubled down on the fascism and the lies, and then he made a fatal crime. Couch fucker, what's your deal? J.D. Vance is cut by Peter Attiel. Anyway, sorry, I blacked out for a minute. Then we have Susan Wiles as chief of staff, and I think I've talked about her a little bit here, which is that as far as like someone who's like just incredibly outwardly evil, Susan Wiles is just kind of one of those like quietly evil people, you know, providing support structure and like functionality to the Trump campaign. And that's kind of where she's at. Like, she's not really that impressive outside of her cockroach-like ability to survive Donald Trump's wrath. She's merely in her position by virtue of being the only person who has consistently survived Donald Trump's purges of his loyalists. So that's kind of where she's at. And non-binary, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Doug Burgum? Because, yeah, I'm aware Doug Burgum is a terrible choice. They're all terrible choices. We're in the bad fucking timeline. Every single one of these people is like a fucking rapist, pedophile, you know, dog killer. Like they are terrible people. They are people who want to basically enslave the American people. They want to privatize concentration camps. Yes, they want to do terrible things. And all I'm doing is looking at it and being like, oh man, a billionaire who just wants to like exploit natural resources, that's maybe one of the least bad things any of these people want to do, because we're looking at a field of people here who want to fucking kill your kids with health policy, who want to privatize the healthcare of millions of people. So yes, a billionaire wanting to exploit resources for his own profit, that's actually maybe one of the least bad things we're looking at. I'm not saying he's good. And if that's what you're taking away from this, you need some better comprehension. Good golly. Is Lex Luthor on the list? Maybe. Then we have James Blair, who just looks like he is waiting to feel something. Can we just take a look at James Blair real quick? Do we have a good picture of James Blair? No? Damn it. Oh, well, look at him. Look at him smiling there, little rascal. Little rapscallion over here. Oh, the American Association of Political Consultants. Cool. Thanks. Awesome. Yeah, it's really surprising that I'm not a fan of the cabinet picks. Anyway, here's a better picture of him. He looks like somebody gave Slender Man a face. Anyway, moving on. Taylor Budowich, Deputy Chief of Staff. Not really familiar with this guy. Except apparently here, he ran a pro-Trump super PAC called MAGA Incorporated. Again, I cannot stress enough here how these people are basically just who filleted Trump the most, who really got down on their knees and like sold their commitment to him, you know? That's really kind of where we're at here, because he's just pulling people who ran like super PACs, who gave him the most money, you know. That's really what's going on here, you know? And the other thing is just who's the most loyal. And Stephen Miller is another one of those, much like Susie Wiles, who's just outlived everyone on the campaign. Plus, Stephen Miller is just evil. Stephen Miller is basically American Goebbels. Like he is one of the most evil people in the Trump administration. His entire thing is deporting every like non-white person in America. You know, and I'm only slightly being hyperbolic. His goal is to deport every single undocumented immigrant. And frankly, I get the feeling from a lot of his rhetoric, from a lot of the books he references, from a lot of the ways he talks. Well, he was in Steve Bannon's circle. And one of Steve Bannon's books, favorite books, is called Camp of the Saints. And if you're not really familiar with Camp of the Saints, it's basically a book about how all of the scary brown people are going to come and destroy Western civilization. And that's basically what Stephen Miller believes writ large. And his goal is to protect white people from the encroaching black and brown hordes that he views as inherently detrimental to Western civilization. That's basically his entire politics in a nutshell. Okay. How long until the average American notices that almost everyone in power is a psychopathic? Honestly, the average American notices remarkably little about politics. It would take some colossally huge scandals. It would take some like upsets in like the supermarket prices. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, it's going to take like Donald Trump passing that 20% across the board tariff and everyone suddenly seeing the prices of everything skyrocket. Is there an emergency exit plan? Not really. The best that I have to offer folks is we're organizing in our community to try and get trans folks and people who are at risk of being targeted by the Trump administration into blue states that have more codified protections. We have several resources dedicated to that, to mobilizing you guys and getting you guys out there. I can go through them just real quick. Renee Hill, thank you for the $20 super chat. I really appreciate that. Let me pull this up real quick. So, for example here, we have this transportation here. Basically, folks can go into our Discord, go to under the resources category, go to transportation, and you can sign up to be someone who folks in the community can contact to help for you to help them move from a red state to a blue state. Folks who are willing to do that have to go through a vetting process, submit like driver's license, vehicle, make and model, stuff like that. So there's some kind of accountability and safety for people who need to resort to this. It's obviously not a first option, but that's one of the things that we're putting together for folks who need to get to blue states. Well, and Renee Hill, here's the thing. In order to legally flee to another country, there needs to be an established threat. And for the threat to be established, bad things need to start happening. And those bad things are going to start in red states first, in places that do not have codified protections for LGBTQ people, don't have protections for undocumented folks, etc. And so the goal right now in this interim period is to get people out of the line of initial fire. Because once bad things start happening and asylum gets opened up in other countries, then people can flee the country. But until the bad stuff starts hitting the fan, it's unfortunate, but you can't just like go to Canada and be like, I'm in danger, and they'd be like, oh yeah, come right in. You have to either emigrate legally, which takes time and money, or you have to wait for asylum to open up. Both of which, not great. Is Rainbow Railroad helping people from red states to blue states? Rainbow Railroad? Let me take a look real quick. Might have been some renaming that I'm not aware of. The Rainbow Book map. Oh, Rainbow Railroad is international. I don't know what Rainbow Railroad is. I'm not privy to those details, sorry. Rainbow Railroad is very backed up on requests. Yeah. A lot of organizations right now are very backed up. Yeah, now would be the time to get passports. I mean, yeah, also Skylight, I'm aware that Canada is also going far right, so it's not like ideal, but what we're talking about is basic survival. That's why we've been talking a lot about survival organizing, which is not like beggars can't be choosers. We're kind of in a desperate situation, and if it gets bad enough that asylum is opened up, you got to get to safety first before you can get to those next order things like, oh man, the political situation is going to be bad in like 3 years here. And yes, Canada has taken a lot of queer folks from Uganda and Kenya But again, it has to get to the level that it is bad in those countries in America before asylum gets opened up in other countries. Does that make sense? So, yeah, basically, right now, the only thing we can be focused on is mitigating, basically the harm we know is coming down the pipeline in red states, and rely on the protections in blue states, where they're codified, to protect folks at least for enough amount of time to then get out of the country once things start getting really bad. But we have that transportation sign up. We also have a sign up for mutual aid skills, where folks can sign up and share their skill set, make that skill set available to other people in the community, whether it's carpentry or sewing or whatever. Okay. Additionally, we also have a project called Lavender Pages, which is essentially a community resource that is put together by you guys, where folks suggest new locations in safe blue states that have these codified protections to basically build up like a small map of places that are queer friendly, that are safe neighborhoods, safe physicians, mental health clinics, cheap housing, personal defense stuff, etc. And folks have been contributing to that, which is great. Helps to kind of have an idea of just some places you can look at. Where do you sign up? What do you mean, where do you sign up? If you want to be involved, you just join the Discord, riverboat.gg/discord. And under Community Lavender Book, you can go into any of those areas. The pinned documents are all things you can edit. And may I selfishly suggest adding laser hair removal to suggested bullet points? Sure. We do have hair and nails, but we can also add there we go. Boop. There we go. Laser, etc. Done and done. Also, if you see any of the Lavender Pages where I didn't add that, you can just edit it in yourself, because you have editing power over the docs. So, yeah, if you want to contribute to any of these documents, you just go to the resources category of the Discord, and you can find any of the relevant documents pinned in those channels. And then below that is the Community Lavender Pages. I need to rename that. Lavender Pages. There we go. Community Lavender Pages, where you can fill out information about your local area that you know about. There you go. If I'm not in any of the areas listed but can travel pretty far to help move, where should I sign up? Under transportation, there's a pinned transport doc, and you just have to submit your info to the mods that are listed at the top of the transport doc. Okay. Moving right along. Got a little bit sidetracked, but that's a-okay, isn't it? We've actually been going for over 4 hours. If you've been enjoying the show, just real quick, we're going to plug. Hit the follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like the goddamn YouTube stream, and consider dropping those subs and donos. Because this show is brought to you by viewers like you. I literally couldn't make this show happen without you guys. So please consider dropping those subs and donos. And yeah, thanks for being here, watching, and keeping things moving along. I really appreciate it. I know it's been hard. Yeah. Would you be fine with mods having power only over those forums, as in not open to anyone to edit? I mean, I've thought about it, but I think it makes it a lot easier for other people to put in info. Like that's kind of my thing. Like it's a big project, and it's hard to put it on the mods and the mod team to also like organize that, because the entire premise of this is that we want to collect and collate all of that data. And given that I'm the administrator, if there is a bad actor that gets in, I can undo changes to the document, just revert it. We do have mods that are collating, that are periodically saving and backing up the data. So that's basically what we're doing. We're having backups being made. We're having the information being saved in case something goes horribly wrong and people, some asshole breaks it. I missed the Discord. riverboat.gg/Discord. Just type that into your address bar and you'll get an invite to the Discord channel. Wooga! You can put the option to comment /suggestion. My goal was to have it not put as much pressure on you guys, because I know it puts a lot of pressure on folks. It puts a lot of pressure on me, I know. I'm so tired. Yeah. The backups, courtesy of Sam and Moose. Thank you so much. Help a lot. And with that, hey, Valerian Damocles Marcellus. Bastion, go to sleep. Get some rest. Is there any hope of in the Trump presidency imploding in the near future? I mean, not particularly.
Hey Chica, donating here so you get all the dollar.
Monica G, thank you for the $10 tip. I very, very much appreciate it. Thank you so goddamn much. Thank you for keeping me going. Is there any hope in the Trump presidency imploding in the near future? Like, what kind of implosion are you trying to get at? Like, in terms of, like, us needing to do, like, a special election because everything's failed so spectacularly? Not particularly. I don't think so. We'll see. I'm gonna sleep soon because your dog's all snuggled up near you. Oh, that's wonderful, Skylight. I love that for you. Yeah, trans girl Jade, I think all us trans folk should probably have a backup plan of some kind. We'll see. We'll see. Not gonna hang my hopes on Democrats, though. That's why we gotta, Democrats can't be trusted to keep us safe, so we gotta keep ourselves safe, I'm literally leaving my home state over this BS. I'm sorry, Gamer G. If it's any consolation, Minneapolis is really nice. Yeah, Thistles Fries. It's going to be good to have a lot of different communities working along those lines to build their own networks. Yeah. All right, then we have Dan Scavino. Again, one of the folks who has stood by Trump like the longest. He's a deeply weird looking man. Again, just the tall foreheads. I don't know where Trump finds all these cone headed motherfuckers, but like, it is very funny. Then we have Thomas Homan, who's basically a lifelong border agent, ICE guy. He's a nasty piece of work. Maybe the one saving grace about him is that while he is a nasty piece of work, he does at the very least understand that you can't just round up every Hispanic looking person and deport them. Like there are logistical constraints that make that impossible, and that he does not have the money to actually do that. And there's no real governmental will to actually do that. So that's decent. Also, Homan is part of the Heritage Foundation. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, all of these people are ghouls that have been vetted by other ghouls, you know, if they've been vetted at all. You got Michael Waltz as National Security Advisor. And again, this guy is one of those folks who's basically...
You have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer...
Why? Twitter is such a dog shit website. Okay. But you have Michael Waltz, right? And essentially he is an incredibly hawkish individual. He wants to go to war with China. He wants to go to war with Iran. He is not good. But maybe his one saving grace is essentially... Can I pull it up? Can I pull it up? Where you at? Yeah, here he is. That he's very funny to look at. He's like a little mini-me of a man. He's just got really tiny arms, little dinosaur arms. Yeah, look at him. Gigantic noggin. Tiny little arms. Oh, this guy wants a hot war. This guy wants like bombs flying. He wants to like level Iran. And you know, it's not just the one picture. Just gigantic noggin on this guy. And he always has a very unpleasant look on his face. You know, he's one of those guys where he simultaneously is like a ride or die Trump guy and thinks that Donald Trump can do no wrong, but also that Joe Biden pulling out of Afghanistan, despite the fact that that was something initiated by Donald Trump, was like the worst thing to ever happen in the history of America. So, you know, he's pretty delusional in his takes, and he's going to be the national security advisor. So that's cool, I guess. And now we have Bill McKinley, who is the White House counsel and is basically going to be doing the most thankless
Serious
task.
question. Why do you think so many women voted Trump?
I mean, frankly, I think white women be crazy. As a white woman, we're not sending our best. It's ignorance. A lot of it is shaped by who the men in their lives are voting for. They tend, if it comes to abortion, they tend to carve out exceptions, i.e., you know, it's not okay if anyone else has an abortion, but it's okay if I had an abortion, or it's okay if my mom had an abortion, because those were extenuating circumstances. But, you know, all those other women are just sluts who need to close their legs. You know, it's that kind of thinking. Also, women are in the workforce. They're also part of the working class, and they are also susceptible to the same kind of like flim-flam economic arguments that Donald Trump offered and the non-arguments that Kamala Harris offered on the economic front. So like there are a number of reasons there that kind of compound on one another. But yeah. That's one of the reasons. But we have Bill McGinley here, who's basically just a pro-Trump lawyer, and that's his one and only qualification. He's going to be doing the thankless task of having to be the White House counsel, and is probably going to get fired relatively soon if there's any kind of legal trouble heading Trump's way, which there absolutely is. Reports that women believed him he wasn't going to do a national abortion ban? Yeah. I mean, maybe. Then we have Stephen Chung, who is the White House communications director, and that can't possibly be what he looks like. That has to be a bad picture, right? Oh my god. That's just a thumb. That man is just a thumb. Oh my god. Huh. Like, I don't even have any witty cracks here. Huh. No, you know, I know some like Asian dudes that have a few pounds on them, okay? They don't look like thumbs. That is a unique quality to this man. Huh. All right. Anyway, that's Trump's communications director for the White House. Okay, we're almost to the end here. Okay, we're almost to the end. Now we have Sergio Gore, a former aide to Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Mr. Gore co-founded a publishing company with Donald Trump Jr. that produces the president-elect's books. He was also the chief executive of a super PAC that spent tens of millions of dollars on Mr. Trump's behalf. And he's now the director of personnel. It certainly sounds like he just bought a fucking position in the Trump administration for tens of millions of dollars. And also by doing a publishing scheme with his son. Because it's just corruption. It's corruption all the way down. It really is incredible. And speaking of corruption, we got Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And I do really have to say, it is one of the funniest parts to me that the government efficiency effort has two people in charge of it. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have been given a bullshit job for a department that doesn't exist. And their entire premise of existence is to just remove parts of the administrative bureaucracy and be wealthy. But I can think of few things less efficient than having two leaders of one department. I can't, it's hard to think of something that would be more, you know, more inefficient. Apparently it's not going to be an actual governmental department. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. It's not a real department. It's made up. It's like when like a 10-year-old wants to do a job and you're like, okay, sport, you're assistant to the undersecretary of labor, and then like you put a little baseball cap on him and you're like, okay, now go run 10 laps around the yard, and then you type on your computer for 15 minutes that bought you. That's essentially what they're doing. Yeah, the kids table at Thanksgiving, exactly. It's an unplugged video game controller, exactly. Except, you know what? I think the 5-year-olds are getting smarter. I think the kids are learning faster and faster that the controller is unplugged. I heard a story today saying you have to sub on X to apply for that department. Man, Twitter's dying. Blue Sky's where it's at now. Also, Blue Sky's great because it doesn't have an algorithm that shows you something that's going to make you violently angry every 30 seconds. So that's a massive plus. All right, now we have Howard Lutnick. And basically, he's a CEO. He's there to make money. Longtime registered Democrat, he said the party moved away from his interests and that he is now a Republican. Donated $1 million to Mr. Trump's inauguration in 2017 and appeared on an episode of The Apprentice while Mr. Trump was the show's host. He has no known experience in the federal government. Man, it's great that this guy whose only qualification is that he was on an episode of The Apprentice and is wealthy is overseeing a governmental transition. Only the best people, folks. Only the best people. And then we have Linda McMahon. That's right. The other co-chair of the transition effort is the wife of Vince McMahon. Yep. The WWE wife is coming in to transition Donald Trump into office. Because, of course, everything's fucked. Why not? Why not? Why not just have Vince McMahon introduce every single interview he does from now on? She's super anti-union too? Of course she is! All these people are! They'd rather shoot union leaders than give them an ounce of time or money. What position will Hulk Hogan have? Genuinely, that's not off the table. And, you know, I saw someone on social media the other day just kind of like, are the collapse of all empires this dumb? Because I wasn't really prepared for how dumb this was going to be. And the answer to that is yes. Empires collapse under like a weight of ineptitude and idiocy. Like, for real. Caligula had a horse named a senator in the government, and then made that horse a high priest in the religion of the government. Or the state religion. The decline of empire gets really fucking stupid, guys. And I hesitate to say this. We're probably not at the stupidest it's gonna get. It's probably going to get a lot more stupid and a lot more evil as we go forward. Okay? Additionally, guys, Just one more story here. Trump to name campaign spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt as White House press secretary. Now you might be like, wait a minute. Who is this? She looks really familiar. Where have we seen her before? I wonder. Where could we have seen her before? Yep. She's in the Project 2025 videos from the Heritage Foundation. And also, just as the tiny little stupid cherry on top of this fucked up Sunday, Trump official criticized the media for talking about Project 2025, which has nothing to do with our campaign. And she worked on Project 2025. That Trump campaign official, wouldn't you know it? This lady, who's now his press secretary. Anyway, if you want to educate people on what Project 2025 is and what it means, here you go. Here's an entire playlist of us going through all 14 hours of the leaked training videos of Project 2025. I did that for you guys. And I really wish they weren't relevant right now. I was really bemoaning that, oh man, we put an awful lot of work into making these videos. But you know what? Hopefully we'll never need them. And then, oh no. Well, there you go. You're the best. I try really hard. Now my work wasn't wasted. I really wish it was, though. Be really nice. Feel like this playlist is probably going to become more relevant now. I think so too, unfortunately. Yeah. So that is, as far as I know, every single announced appointment that Donald Trump has put together. And that's where we're at.